Hey everyone, today we have a special guest, Taylor Dickerson, who is an agent out in San Antonio. And some of you may be wondering, are there agents available who can actually really help investors? And Taylor is just that person. So welcome Taylor to AnalyticsAriel channel.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, being an investor-friendly agent is not always as common as those would think. And you really hit the nail there. Before we dive into that piece, how you work with investors, love to just hear a little bit more about your background, how you got into real estate and San Antonio, the market.
Yeah, sure. I was actually born and raised here in San Antonio, so I kind of know the town like the back of my hand. I started in a home improvement company, just doing vinyl siding and windows and patio covers, and I was, at first I was just doing the marketing for it, and a lot of that really just sent me all around town. I mean, and I would walk up and down streets, I would knock on doors, and I actually did that for almost 10 years, believe it or not. And I
Wow.
mean, and that's going in the heat of the day. I mean, and it gets hot in San Antonio, and some of those summer months were just unbearable. But and so that at least kind of got my toes wet in just understanding all of the different neighborhoods, the different dynamics of the areas and sides of town. And then it also kind of correlated with the construction aspect of it. So I ended up going to college at University of Texas, San Antonio, and majored in finance and economics. And that's kind of when I first fell in love with just investments in general. It started with stocks, it started with bonds, and eventually later came real estate. But once I graduated, I got a couple of corporate jobs, and eventually I was like, I got to get back out and do something on my own. And I'd always thought about real estate because I kind of come from that back when I was in high school working that construction job. And so eventually I just said, I'm going to do it and see what happens. I mean, I hear lots of success stories. I also hear lots of horror stories, and I'm just going to throw my fishing pole out there and just see what bites, let's see what happens. And one of my friends had a rental property that he wanted to just go ahead and get rid of. He was just tired of being a landlord. And so I went ahead and was like, you'll be my first client. Hope I don't screw this up, but let's do it. So we listed it, got it sold. And, I kind of learned just baby stuff, like that, which it's not hard, but that kind of made me start thinking about landlords. And now, maybe there's a lot more people out there like him that have a, property, they're just tired of being a landlord, or they're just tired of the tenants and dealing with them. So then I started trying to market towards those people, and developed a number of clients that were landlords or looking to become landlords even, and kind of started finding my niche. And that's what I think a lot of people, when I was first getting into real estate, said, is that you're going to find a niche. And I didn't really quite understand what that was meaning back then. But as I really just kind of naturally started, the dominoes started falling in place, that was what was happening, is that I was taking what I knew from investments from studying at UTSA and finance and economics, and just applying that with real estate. And it was like, the clouds had parted, and now all of a sudden I understood what I was supposed to be doing. Like, I
Yeah.
was supposed to be that agent for investors. And it's a whole different world. It really is. It's a whole different world between dealing with investors and dealing with just retail clients, like people that are just looking to buy a house and that's just going to be their home.
Yeah.
And while those are sometimes the easier clients, I just didn't like, I mean, it's not that I don't like helping people find a home to live in, right? But it became more exciting to me to find houses that were going to be profitable investments, that were going to make money for people, rather than just being like a house, which, I mean, a
Right.
house, it makes people money as a wealth generator and creator and all that. But for flips and landlording stuff, like, that was just a whole nother level. And then understanding the finance behind it, the math, and building
Yeah.
spreadsheets and all that good stuff. that was really that got me excited. Like I got my juices flowing.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then I just kept working at it. I started developing a larger and larger clientele base, and before I know it, I was able to just kind of be on my own and um, just work almost 100% for investor clients. And they just keep coming back to me and keep asking me, hey, I need you to sell this property. I need you to find me some more properties. And definitely the hardest part is always finding them. So that's kind of where I reached out to you and said, Ariel, I have an idea. Can you do this? And there you were, like a little knight in shining armor, saving my day and building some amazing tools for me to use and really help my clients, get to that next level.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, and super excited in part two to go over more in detail about that tool. But going back to what you were saying and how you really were able to build out your investor clientele, did it start off more locally and then expand to investors out of state, or what's the split there?
Yeah, I mean, almost all of the investors I work with are local, but a lot of the deals we source sometimes come from out of state wholesalers, for example, or just people that have moved out of state, and that's why they're selling, is because maybe they were a landlord here in San Antonio, and then they're like, hey, but we're old now, we want to live in Florida. And no offense to you living in Florida, but they want to go hang out with you instead of me, and they're like, I can't manage this property anymore because I'm too far away or whatever. So they just want to get rid of it, take the cash out, and use it for other things. So that's where we come in and help them get it listed and sold. But then also on the same flip side of that, there's a lot of people coming to San Antonio from California and New York, and all these people just have so much money. I'm like, man, and it's inflating our prices of property, and they're looking to buy. Like, some of my first clients actually were from California. They were nurses, and they just ended up buying 2 properties with me, and then they came back a year later, bought 2 more properties with me, and then a year later came back, bought more. I'm like, man, you guys just have like an endless supply of money out there. I love it. And they're like, well, you keep finding us good deals, so why would we not? And I'm like,
awesome. If I could go back, I would have definitely been a travel nurse, one of like the best careers right now.
For sure. Yeah, I get to see the world, help people, and yeah, I mean, it's great. Great job. Great job.
So as you are, you have these properties that you're dealing with that investors may be looking to sell, do you ever pick these properties up for your own portfolio as well?
No, so surprisingly not. A lot of people always get bummed out when they hear, Taylor does not do investments on his own, because primarily I feel like there's a bit of a conflict of interest that happens when, if I'm buying properties down, I should be delivering those to my clients, and by realtor code, you should always be putting that stuff up in front of your clients instead of you. I mean, you could always take it down if your clients don't want it, but typically if my clients don't want it, I wouldn't want it either. So it's kind of like, okay, I'm not going to take their sloppy seconds. Like, it's not going to work. But but it's also just all of my investments have always started with stocks and bonds and stuff like that. And so that's 99% of my investments are stocks, but real estate is eventually something I'll get into, but I have a feeling I'm probably going to get into it in outside of San Antonio. It's probably going to be, I went to the Bahamas recently, and the Bahamas had a really bad hurricane hit one of their main islands, and the place just got decimated out there. It was really sad to see, actually. But it's just such a mess over there. But because of it, the prices of things were just ridiculously cheap over there. And there's zero conflict of interest in me picking up stuff in the Bahamas. I'm not even licensed in there. It's a whole nother country. So I've been looking at those opportunities and thinking, like, this might be where I can, start dipping my feet in, taking what I've learned and bringing it over there and doing it for myself.
But that makes sense. And it makes sense why that could be.
And that's a 2022 goals for sure. So talk to me at the end of the year. We'll see if how many properties I own over there.
I'll definitely have to pick your brain about that in a later time frame. But going back to San Antonio market, I mean, growing up there, working like on your feet in high school and being as an agent now, like you must have seen so much change over the last even 10 years, 5 years, right? In your
It's
market.
incredible. Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, I briefly went to Dallas for 6 months. I came back and like all the gas stations were completely a whole new name. You know,
Wow.
it's just, I was like, what city is this? Who is Valero? But because when I left, they were all Diamond Shamrock. And then, but I mean, the place just keeps expanding and getting larger and growing outwards. And I'm just like, I mean, it's great to see that kind of growth in the city. And, you know, I don't know if that's normal because I've, you know, never really lived anywhere else, but I would guess that it's not. I mean, we are just going gangbusters out here.
Yeah, when it
So
comes to like top 10 growing cities, San Antonio somehow always makes
we're
top
usually,
10.
we're usually on it. I think this year I think it was like 6th or 5th for the largest population increase. So
Wow. Yeah, a lot of Northeast people coming down as well as West Coast. So definitely a
yeah,
mix. So say if
yeah.
someone's, pretty fresh into investing, they don't feel like they're going to do it in their own market. They're looking at outside markets. What would be like a reason to entice them to maybe look to invest in San Antonio?
Okay, there's a couple of variables there. One, we used to have very cheap labor. Being very close to Mexico, we do get a lot of migrant workers and they work very cheaply. They do great work, especially if you have a good, trainer or teacher for them. But we also just have a lot of old houses. And that's
Mhm.
another aspect of it is like, this is a very old city. When you go downtown, the main thing that you want to go see is the Alamo. I mean, and that's been there since like forever, 18,
Yeah.
17, I don't know. Don't even ask me the date, but I should probably know. But it's just that, and San Antonio is very big on preserving that historic aspect of it. And because of that, though, a lot of these houses have really, aged, and the people that lived in them did not keep up with them. And we have a great supply of houses that need work. And a good portion of the city is starting to undergo a little bit of gentrification because of that.
Mhm.
Which some people like it, some people don't. I'm not going to take sides on that argument. But Austin, not too far from us, definitely underwent that process. And
Yeah.
now Austin's becoming very, very expensive as a city to live in. And San Antonio is just now starting to make a little bit of that push. And so as that happens, I would not be surprised in the least to see us follow Austin in the next 5 to 10 years and experience that same level of price appreciation. Because we have very similar attributes. Austin being a very old town as well.
Yeah.
So, to see everything become new again takes money, takes
Mhm.
investment, and we are getting those funds to not only just fix up the houses, but just to fix up the general infrastructure around here. I mean,
Nice.
we had an old brewery here called the Pearl Brewery, and I mean it hadn't produced beer in I don't know how long. It was just a rundown, area essentially,
Mhm.
and big bucks came into that thing, and now it was bigger than it's ever been before. I mean, it's one of the main attractions whenever you come
Wow.
here is to go to the Pearl Brewery. And what the city's really saw, the city learned from that is that we can take all these old things and make them new again. And
Mhm.
the city's going to start pumping money in towards doing those initiatives. And as the city does it, so do private investors, and it's a win-win for everybody. So, and we've got big business coming here. Tesla is going to be not too far from here.
Awesome.
Yeah, SpaceX is not that far away either. It's a little bit further down south. But yeah, we've just got a lot of big things going for not only the city, the state, but just everything around us. I mean, it's hard to create an argument against investing in San Antonio in this general area.
Yeah, that's really incredible. I had to make my way over to San Antonio at some point, but just going to your point of seeing something that's a little bit older and like being revitalized is pretty amazing. That's also what's happened in the Tampa areas in the last several years. So I think both will have a lot of growth in the future.
Yeah.
But outside being a real estate agent, what else do you do for fun or hobbies that you try to occupy your time with?
Sure. So I have a dog. She's a little border collie. She's about 10 years old, and I'm looking at her now. She hates being on camera. It's like you pull out your phone to take a picture and she runs away. It's
Oh,
always sad. Everybody's like, I want to see what she looks like. I'm like, I can't get a picture of her to save my life. But yeah, so I mean, I got the pup. We run around. We play at the park and stuff like that. Um, I mean, really investing, or not investing, but real estate in general, and that it does take up a good amount of my time. So I
I
don't
bet.
really say that I have much hobbies outside of real estate, to be quite honest with you. But if I'm not doing real estate, I'm looking at stocks, and it's one
Mhm.
or the other, to be honest. I'm kind of a boring guy like that, but
No, that's super interesting.
yeah,
And say if someone else like was interested in becoming an agent and maybe also working with investors in their own market, what are some like tips or resources you may suggest to them?
Um, I mean, I would say give me a call actually, and
Yeah,
I could share some tips and tricks of the trade and how I kind of first really started developing my clientele. But number one thing is to always get education. And there's unlimited amounts of education out there, especially on YouTube. There's tons of former agents or current investors that are out there always just putting up YouTube videos and spreading the wealth of information that they have. So get educated first and foremost. Second of all, maybe find a mentor, find somebody to kind of show you the ropes and make sure that you don't screw up, because you can. But definitely having like a support system around you and people to kind of confirm what you're thinking helps. And then third and last, I think, would just be to get out there and go do it.
yeah.
Take a just put your foot out there, see what happens.
Yeah, I completely agree. Almost in everything that you do, especially in the field of real estate, it's like you need to get your feet wet at some point.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I think a lot of us just learn, try to build up as much preparation as you can, and then once you're
Yeah.
prepared, go do it.
Yeah, exactly. So, Taylor, if someone wants to reach out to you, whether they want to invest within San Antonio or just ask questions in general of becoming an agent and working with investors, how can they reach you or follow you?
So I go by the House Hawk, which is a whole nother story. I'll give you some other time, but thehousehawk.com is my website. Or if you want to get a hold of me, it's a pretty easy number to remember. 210, which is our area code, 899 Hawk, HAWK. So 210-899-4295. And you can get a hold of me almost night or day, 24/7. If I don't answer, I'll call you right back. I'm just on the other line. Text me, email me, thehousehawk@gmail.com. The House Hawk. That's it.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Taylor, the House Hawk. Really appreciate your time and hope to see you again on the channel.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.